I'm Deborah McDermott. I'm the Master Coach for the Opportunity Alliance Financial Stability Program. I'm a Getting Ahead facilitator and trainer of facilitators, and I am a national consultant for the Bridges Out of Poverty work. All three of these elements had something to do with our success at the McGowan Project. So I want to take a few moments to tell you my perspective of how that work went and what I feel was very valuable about that program. So we brought the pieces to Crossroads of combining, helping people understand the impact of social class. We brought the management piece of money to them to say, as you begin to move through your recovery and as you begin to build your life, financial stability is going to be very important. And we brought financial coaching as an additional piece of helping them stay with their goals and advocate for them on their behalf. And this program distinguished itself in a number of ways. So I've been doing the Bridges Getting Ahead work in this community for over 6 years. We've probably many hundreds of Getting Ahead graduates have come through our program. And we learned a number of things that we were able to bring to the McGowan Project. One of the things we learned was that people need to be able to build a resource while they're learning. So we teach them that there's 11 resources to a stable life, but then we sort of have depended on them to go out and work on those 11 independently. In this case, we said, we're going to teach you the 11, and we're going to help you build one of the 11, which is your financial resource. So amongst our graduates, the distinguishing factors were some of the following. We had a very low dropout rate in all three programs. So people have to meet for 2.5 hours a week for 8 weeks. We do it twice a week. So it's a huge commitment of time on their behalf, and it's rigorous. The program is not a piece of cake. They have to examine their life from many lenses. And so it confronts not just the recovery process, but what kind of emotional resources have they got, and what sort of modeling have they had in their life, and the importance of their success in the normative class, which we call middle class. So for them to stay with the program so consistently, to be on time, to do all of the work that was required, was a landmark in this case, because we had, I think, only one dropout in class 1. We might have had only 1 or 2 in class 2, and 0 in class 3. 0 is a number I've never seen. I've never seen a group go from start to finish on every aspect and not drop out of the program. So a couple of factors there. We did it on site. We provided as easy access to the work as we could. We added the financial resource to help them build, and we added the coaching piece. So I think all of those elements surrounding them, including Crossroads' way of surrounding people with support, which is giving them housing and stability, all lends itself to a very successful outcome. On the Crossroads staff side, they've all been Bridges trained, so they all understand what it means to deal with social class impact. In each and every class, we had representation from all aspects. So we had people that had grown up in a very wealthy family who had run into difficulty with their addiction. We had people who'd been in a middle class family, and again, addiction is what had taken them to an unstable place. And then we had those that were raised in poverty and knew nothing else. And this was another extraordinary positive, because when people get around the table together and share their experience, they're learning about others' experiences firsthand. And one of the difficulties in generational poverty is that's all you ever know. You only know your own family's experience, your own neighborhood experience. So when you enter a group where you can learn from others about what's important about building a good life, a stable life, it lends itself to a faster learning process and a more integrated one. So it's another really positive aspect.
My current picture right now, I'm just living in a bubble. I had major open heart surgery 6 months ago. And prior to that, I had a heroin habit, which I'm now 15 months clean. And so right now I'm just on hold. Can't work, can't do anything until I'm recovering. So I've heard from others and doing some, that they talk about resources. And because at the moment I have no resources at all from where I'm at. So looking for resources when I can get back to doing something. I actually have a plan.
Yay.
And that was one of the big things. I talked to John and said that this is up with a plan for afterwards. We're just getting started, but so far it looks good.
I want to be at a point where I have a savings account, so if the kids need braces, I mean, it's kind of all about the kids, but if the kids need braces or they want to go to college and they need help with that, that I'm able to help them. Not do it for them, because I think it's important that they learn how to fend for themselves also, because I did not learn that, and now here I am. So, but I want to be able to provide for them in a way that will help them and teach them. The confidence that I need to reach out to the resources I might need to utilize, the confidence in knowing who to reach out to for what, I think will be a big deal for me. Definitely learning how to budget better. I don't know, not necessarily making money stretch farther, but doing what I need to with what I have and learning how to make that enough. And then the savings, definitely to work on building a nest egg for myself and my kids.
I'm trying to maintain sobriety. My family is pretty well to do, and I failed at what they wanted me to do, and I went down a bad path. And sobriety is most important for getting my family back. I have a clock without hands here, and that's because I always feel rushed. I never know exactly what time it is. Even though I wear a watch, I'm still feeling rushed. I'm always looking at the clock like, what time is it? Where am I supposed to be? And I've never been used to keeping time. I'm always constantly going through just mixed emotions. I've had lots of bad things happen in my life, lots of good things happen in my life, and I tend to almost relive them on a day-to-day basis. My parents are teachers, so I'm very big on education. The whole reason I signed up for Getting Ahead is I'm always searching for something that I can learn, something new. And I feel that Getting Ahead may be something that I actually don't know about.
My diagram here is, my point of here is when I got out of jail. It starts here and then it goes, you know, the degree of how I'm doing in my certain areas here without the time. And it just, you know, right now I've only been out for a little over a month now, so it's kind of, everything's going up, which is good. It's not going down. And the question mark symbols, you know, I can't tell the future, so I don't know how that level is going to look in the future. Well, my future, I would like it to look more of comfortable. I like to feel more secure with not just financial, but with myself personally and with my family. Just have a newborn son. He's 39 days today. Well, you know, when you guys came in and you know, let us know about the 11 resources and what's out there. You know, it's a lot of eye openers. You know, when you're in need of something and you don't know how to go about it, it's nice knowing what's out there. How to really budget my money better, how to spend it on things I need, not so much I want, and learning how to save. So when I do want something, I have a backup. You know, I don't have to live paycheck by paycheck.
I am envisioning this to become a superstar.
Oh, that's great.
Yeah, working towards getting my own housing at some point and obtaining a car and getting a job first and foremost that's paying, and you know, from there then I can cycle it all through. Now I really am excited about learning how to budget my money. There's a lot of things that I don't purchase right now because I don't have the money for it. So some of the wants that I want, I'm not able to afford right now. But in the future, being able to know how to spend that money, being able to take my son to the movies, do fun stuff, and just how to make that money stretch.
I had a lot of good feedback from people in the past classes, and I wanted to really broaden my horizons with different resources and opportunities that I didn't know about. Mainly because a lot of the people didn't know that they had a lot of resources based on whether that's connections with people that they didn't know about and budgeting opportunities that have really changed her life. She just turned 3 October 15th. My family has her, and she's the light of my life. If it wasn't for her, I probably wouldn't be here, so I'm very grateful to have her. I enjoy knowing that you, based on whatever finances you might have, whether that's a lot or not at all, that there's always a way around your finances and that you can set your life up for success instead of failure with that class.
I'm in the process of learning things that I used to know but that I've forgotten. I'm learning about finances. I'm learning that I don't like being stuck. And I want to have a better life. I don't like being on assistance.
Okay.
I want to be able to get through my life without it.
You think maybe getting ahead can show you how
Yes.
to do that, huh? Yeah, that's
Yep,
great.
that's why I decided to take the class. I needed help dealing with my widowhood because I couldn't do it on my own, so I came to Crossroads, and they've been big help.
It has a sun over here because my day is full of sunshine. Almost every day, doesn't matter what the weather is. And I'm always happy. I'm a resident advisor over at River House. So that's me and Denise. I'm starting to fill out job applications to start moving forward. I like to live with honesty, integrity, and I have a lot of passion right now. It's a clock because I swear there's not enough time in the day. And then this is me and my 2 children, my 2 daughters. I want to go back, well, right now I want to do food serving, but I want to go back to school because I want to be a nurse or somewhere in the medical field. I want to learn about all the different resources that are out there that I never even knew about. I don't like to be upset. Being happy draws good attention from people. If you're upset, then it draws negative. And I like positive attention. Or I like other people to be happy also. So if you always have a smile on your face, it usually makes other people smile too.
Okay, so now in your head, can you think about what your previous picture looked like? Okay, and tell me how this picture is different from, what's the biggest thing that this picture is different from your last one?
Knowledge and budgeting, knowing the budgeting knowledge, and resources. So there's a lot more progression in this picture of success rather than what I had before.
On my last one, I know that I had a clock without hands
Okay,
because it just seemed like I didn't have enough time in the day.
I remember you saying that.
And my whole thing now is about staying organized with time.
Mm-hmm.
And I know that there was a lot of organized chaos, which was one thing that I had on there. And this is pretty much centered around me being happy and me being there for my family.
That with the clock thing, I remember there was a few people that had clocks on the first one, and they were saying that either that time was standing still, or seems like they were going back like two steps forward, 1 step back.
Right.
I think I had one on mine too.
And so do you feel different now?
Yes.
Okay, even though
Yes.
you don't have a clock on your...
I don't.
Yeah.
Because I'm moving forward.
Yeah, so that's a cool thing. Your absence of a clock is important.
It helped you better plan your day out. It made you realize where your time was going, so you're able to structure it better.
I learned in the Getting Ahead class that there are a lot of resources out there that are available. Sometimes you might not qualify for that resource until you go to a couple other places. Like, for instance, if you're trying to get an ID, you know, and you need to have a birth certificate or social security card, things like that are very knowledgeable and helpful.
One story from group 3 was Tony. So Tony was a participant from generational poverty. He is of a diverse Latino background. He speaks good English, but not school English. And he missed 3 sessions. And normally it is our process that if you miss 2 sessions, you're welcome to attend the material, but you've lost your ability to earn your stipend. So Tony fell into that 3rd missing, and so he asked, could he continue to attend? So point number 1, he had no promise that he would receive his stipends, but he still wanted to learn the material. And so the facilitator came to me and said, I think Tony's going to come around at some point, want to know if we would reconsider the stipend policy. And I said, well, let's just wait and see what happens. So towards the end of the program, that in fact did happen. Tony asked if we would reconsider. Part of the power of getting ahead is we put the power back onto the person instead of taking power on ourselves. So our response to Tony was, well, what would you like to do for that consideration? Not, we're going to tell you what you need to do for the consideration. So we never know how people are going to respond, and we could never have imagined what Tony would have asked to do. So he came to us and said, I'd like to help co-lead 1 session, and I'll do all the pre-reading, so I'm familiar with the session, and I'd like to write a report. I can tell you that both of those things have never been offered before. No one ever wants to write a report, and no one's ever asked to co-lead a session. So we, of course, eagerly said yes, still with no promise that that would, in fact, lend itself to getting paid. So he led the community assessment session, which is a very difficult session. It's where we go around and really talk about the resources in our community, and we rate them from the perspective of those who use those resources. So we take housing, we take leadership, we take banking, we take employment, and we have them go through their experiences. They have to go visit a couple of agencies and interview people. So it's a piece of work. And he did a beautiful job of co-leading that session. And then he submitted his written report, which you have a copy of. He started talking about from the very beginning that he came for the money. But by session 3, he realized that he didn't know how to get ahead. That no one had actually presented that as an option. They'd presented recovery, they'd presented housing opportunities, they'd presented job opportunities, but he had never connected the dots on how those things could actually help him get ahead in life. Well, that's the territory we cover in Getting Ahead. And not only is his report a tearjerker, but it also speaks to the power of the individual. So his insights were his, not ours. His accomplishments were his, not ours. And the outcomes were his, not ours. I took his little written report and I forwarded it to our national Getting Ahead coordinator, just as an example of what can happen for one person in our small community of Reno, Nevada. It got published on the blog, as a blog, on our national website. Again, Tony would never have envisioned that outcome. And of course, we did pay him his stipends. And we had a great celebration at graduation. But I think the thing that most stood out to me was if you give people a chance with the right understanding, they'll come through every time. And this program really showed us that over the 7 months period. We had a great time, we had wonderful celebrations, and we had great results. And we are very grateful to McGowan for giving us that opportunity. I will have to tell you that there is now a waiting list, that we have people asking every week, when is Getting Ahead coming back to Crossroads? So of course, every presentation by an employee is going to include an ask. So I'm going to ask that you consider doing it again, that Crossroads become a staple, this becomes a staple for their environment, that they're able to help people in this particular way, which is unique to the other things they do there. And with great gratitude to McGowan for doing so, and my pleasure in leading the project.